So let's go back to verse 19. These are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel of the Syrian from Pandamaran, and the sister of Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Now this is 20 years separation from the 40 years. They were married when he was 40 years old, and now it's 20 years later. And you know, and we mentioned this last week. This is a common theme. I mean, from the time Abraham was told he's going to have seed that is going to cover the earth, it took 25 years for Sarah to have that child. And so he prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And God increases our faith and encourages us through all that. And now we have this one. And of course, remember Jacob with Rachel. I mean, it was over 20 years before Rachel had a child. And it goes on, it seems like. But God does that for a purpose. Well, one thing I want you to begin to see as we go through the book of Genesis is the sovereignty of God, the providence of God and how it moves and how it works. And we're going to see that today in the twins that are born, how God moves and chooses one above the other, and yet he had to work something out to get the one that he wanted above the other. And you're going to see that all through the Bible. It just amazes me how God moves to get who he wants. You see, there's going to be a line from Adam all the way to Jesus. And God is going to take that. Abraham, let's go to Adam. How about that? Firstborn of Adam was who? Cain. Well, he should be the one, right? No. Cain kills Abel. So now what? The thirdborn of Adam is Seth. And Seth goes down through to Enoch, and Enoch walked with God and was not. You know that. Then there was Methuselah, not Methuselah. And then you go down to Noah, and then Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So one of those sons is going to be the one that God uses to go through that line. So Shem is the one. Then you go down to Abraham. Abraham was not the firstborn. Haran was the firstborn. And so he would have been the one that would have went on, right? But no, God killed him because he wanted Abraham. I say God killed him. He died. I don't know how he died, but I know that God wanted Abraham to be the one. And it's just amazing as we follow through, and we're going to see. The same with Ishmael. Okay, Ishmael's the firstborn of Abraham. He should be the one, right? No, God was set up with Sarah, and it would be Sarah's child where this line would go through. I can go through the whole genealogy and show you how God moved. And so we all know that nothing takes God by surprise, right? We all understand that. And so God has a perfect plan, and this is what we're seeing with Isaac today, except I don't get very far. So, and let's go to verse 21. Jacob said, no, let's go to verse, where was I? 22. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? Abraham prayed a prayer like that. What about me, Lord? Chapter 15 and verse 2. What about me? I'm go childless. Well, she's having a problem that's not that problem. She's having a problem with 2 children inside of her. She don't know that there's 2. And they're struggling inside of her, causing her a lot of pain. And she is, her mind is beginning to wonder what's going on. And it says here that the children struggled within her, and she went and she inquired of the Lord. Some people say she went to Abraham. Some people say she went to Melchizedek. What does the Bible say? I read a lot of commentaries, and it's like, oh, this, and these are really intelligent individuals. But you know what? God gives me intelligence too, and I just trust His Word. And I look at Isaac. Isaac, while waiting for his wife, was doing what? He was praying out in the field, and probably was his common theme to do. Abraham, when he went to Beersheba, he built a group of trees so he would have a cool place to go and worship God. And so these men were examples to her. And so if you have a problem, you don't have to go to the priest or the preacher.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay. You can go to God.
Amen. Yeah.
And so, and that's what she does. I mean, that's what my Bible says. And the Lord said to her, unto her, that wasn't Abraham said unto her, that wasn't Melchizedek said unto her, that was nobody else said unto her. She had a specific meeting with God, and God spoke to her. I like that. 2 nations are in thy womb. 2 manners of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Now keep that in your mind, because we're going to come up to something here in a little bit where that'll be important. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment. You know, I laugh. The Bible is fun. If you don't have fun when you read the Bible, you're just missing it. Yeah, you know, how hairy was he? Well, he's a baby, but we do know that he became more hairy. Have you ever been around Italians? Okay, well, I'm sorry. Anyways, you know how hairy he was? Jacob had to put on a lamb's, the skin of a lamb to fool his father. You know, he put it around his neck and his arm just to fool his father. Now, that's pretty hairy when you got to do that to fool your dad. Anyway, and and the boys grew. And the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of the venison. But Rebekah loved Jacob. Why do you think she loved Jacob? All right, you can just hold that. We have the answer that I've already read. God told her which child He was going to bless, right? We have the answer. This is not a secret. Jacob's, and we go down anyways, and Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I'm faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. What kind of brother? I thought we were supposed to love our brother. Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I'm at the point to die. What profit is a birthright to me? I'm going to die if I don't eat. Now, I've never been that hungry. But some are, I guess. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright. And Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So we have our first verse today, verse number 24. It says, when her days were delivered, days to be delivered were fulfilled. The word fulfilled here means bring forth. It indicates that she went full term. There's another phrase that they used for Tamar, and that phrase it was different, which indicated to some people that she had the twins of Pharez and Zerah. You remember Judah and Tamar, the story. She had twins, but the story there, the way that's worded is she had those a little earlier than they were supposed to be delivered. But this is on perfect timing. And so it says here that she was her time to be, in other words, she was about ready to have the babies. Behold, there were twins in her womb. There's our word behold again. It's kind of like surprise. She knows there's something that she didn't have what we have today. Y'all understand that, right? She could only guess at what kind of baby she was having. She was probably a little bigger than what she would have wanted to be. And these two were struggling within her. But now it's behold, there were twins. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Now, red, Esau, and Edom, these are words that all have to do with red. The word red is the same word, Greek word, that's used for David. David was a ruddy kid. He was a ruddy kid. The giant, who is this, when he's getting ready, he says, you're just a ruddy kid, he was red. Okay? I don't know, folks. You see people that are just more red-faced than you see sometimes. But for the Hebrews, olive skin was dominant, right? But he was red, and this one was red. There is a difference, though, because they continue on with this, and all over like a hairy garment. I love it when I see a baby come out and have a full head of hair. And it's like, whoa, that's a lot of hair. But that's what the word means. He was hairy all over. And like I said, the same word is going to be used for Edom. And they called his name Esau. His name means hairy or rough, Esau. He is just a child, and yet he is hairy. And of course, Jacob was not. And the other came out after his brother. And his hand took a hold of Esau's heel. And the name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 60, which was 60 years old when she bare them. Some say it's impossible for him to grab a hold of the heel. Well, okay. But my Bible said he did it. And you've seen pictures of babies in womb that would like to take a hold of a finger or something, And so, yeah, that's what he did. This is such a beautiful picture. Jacob, while still in the womb, is fighting with his brother. These two kids are fighting in the womb. There's no love in the womb. And now Esau has come out before Jacob. And that ain't supposed to happen. Jacob wants to come out first. So Jacob's grab a hold of his heel and has a hold of his heel when they come out. I think it's neat. He took his brother by the heel. Hosea says this, 12:3. And by his strength he had power with God. And his name was called Jacob. Now, that's a That's not a great name. It's, you're going to name your child something. You don't want to name him Jacob. Jacob is a supplanter. He's always thinking of what can I do to beat them out of this, or how can I make the best deal, or he's always in his mind. I mean, here's his brother coming up. We're going to see in a minute. Here's his brother coming up to him, and his brother's just come out of the field, and he's liking to die. I'm still trying to put the picture in my mind, because I don't know how many servants his brother passed before he got to the only picture I can think of is coming home as a child and my mother having a pot of beans on the wood-burning stove, and from the time you hit the sidewalk, the gravel path, by the time you get to the door of the house, you smell those beans. Oh, what can be better than red beans and a ham hock? Oh, you're in heaven. Evidently, he smelt what Jacob had. And so, but they were fighting one another. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob a plain man dwelling in tents. So they were opposites. Jacob was a hunter. He was a kid that I mean, they're rich. I understand they're already rich. They don't have to work. And I think because Isaac was a little more like Jacob, he loved the opposite. Oh, I wished I could go out and hunt. I wished I had that kind of. Have you ever seen that where, when you play sports, oh man, I'd like to be able to dunk a ball like that. I'd like to hit that home run like that guy did. And yet you're not that guy. Isaac wasn't that guy. But he loved his son. Number one, it was his firstborn son. This is the one that's going to get the inheritance in his mind. This will be the one that gets the inheritance. This will be the one that will have the seed that God's going to give, that's going to populate the earth. This is that one. And he's a mighty hunter. He comes back with venison and fixes it all up for his father. And then another thing he would do, he would sit down and tell his father stories. I know, I'm a hunter. I know. I mean, almost every animal I've shot, there's a story behind it. My wife has sat with me in the blind, and it's all funny because she says, okay, they're coming. They're going to be coming here soon. It's like, oh, they don't go on a clock. The feeder goes off, and they're coming. They'll be here real soon, One time I'm sitting in the blind cold, and I'm like, oh, and where are the deer? Where are the deer? My wife gives me a text and sends me a picture. There were 3 of them in the front yard. The great hunter. He's a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Jacob was a plain man. He was a businessman. He had tents. He was a businessman. He worked out businesses. He knew how to get money and make money and trick people. He was a trickster. He wasn't. His name was not a great name. You remember, God changed his name. God changed his name from a trickster to Israel. Israel. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat the venison. But Rebekah loved Jacob. Why did Rebekah love Jacob? Was he a ladies' man? I don't think so. But he was God's promise to her. He was God's promise to to her. She never lost. Listen, when you pray and God answers your prayer in such a way that you know it's the voice of God, you don't forget that. You don't forget that. When he told her, the younger shall serve, or the older will serve the younger. And when she saw this child, she took this child. I actually believe, and I'll get off the subject just a little bit. I actually believe that Deborah, her nurse, took more care of Jacob than Esau. Because Deborah, the nurse of Rebekah, went to be with Jacob and stayed with Jacob until she died. And she was buried under the oak tree in Bethel. That was the nurse that came with Rebekah from Syria when she left Haran and come down to marry Jacob, or Isaac. Same woman. I believe personally that she fell in love with Jacob as Rebekah did. That's just me. And Jacob sawed pottage. He was cooking pottage. And Esau came from the field and he was faint. When you begin to put these words together, Esau was about to die. Now, I don't understand that quite, because you have to really, now, the heat, the hunt, he was probably walking, and he could have been days without food. We don't know. But we do know he is in such a state as he feels like within himself, if he don't eat something and drink something, he's going to die. And that's what's on his mind. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee." Basically the words are, "I pray thee, I want to swallow a little bit. Give me something. And I pray thee with that same red pottage, for I thirst, I'm faint." Therefore was his name called Edom. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I'm faint." And we can read through these red pottage. We know what that's all about. The name Edom is the name we're going to see again. And Jacob said, "Sell me this day thy birthright." The birthright, I've listed some things in here. I don't have time to read them all. But in your notes, you can see some of the things regarding the birthright. And then Esau said, "Behold, I'm at the point, what does it profit to me to have a birthright if I die?" Basically is what he's saying. So I don't know how he did it, whether there was a witness present or whether he wrote something down, made an X somewhere. Jacob said, "Swear to me this day." And he swore unto him, and he sold the birthright. Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils, and he did eat, drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Put the map up if you would. We got a couple of minutes here. I want to go over something with you. As we travel through the book of Genesis, we're going to see people that are family members or associated with Abraham as we go through. And just a couple of things here. The first that we see is the kingdom of Ammon and Moab. Who are they? Well, they come to us through Lot. Lot was a nephew of Abraham. And Lot left after the cities were burning, and he left the city. His wife died, became a pillar of salt. And Lot went into a cave with his two daughters. And they got him drunk and did the unthinkable. And his oldest daughter bore a child named Moab. The youngest daughter had a child named Amnon. And so these are on this side of the kingdom. Up here is Pandamaran. Now Edom we're seeing him come into the picture. That's Esau. When the children of Israel came around here, God told them not to mess with Edom. You don't want to get into a war with Edom. But Edom wouldn't let them go through. They had to work a lot to get around through Edom to get back up here to cross to go to Jericho. But Moab, you remember they had all kinds of problems with Moab. These are the families of Abraham, or kinfolk of Abraham. Ishmael is this group here. So you can see that all of and then the 10 children, the 6 other children that Abraham bore are these areas over here. And so you can see the family of Abraham has surrounded Israel. They're not a part of it. And we saw today that Esau, his name is Edom. Red is what that name means. And this is where he eventually was situated. So you have the children of Ishmael, the children of Esau, and the children of Lot that are surrounding. And you'll hear a lot about these as we go through the book of Genesis and we go through the Bible. As the children of Israel leave and come back, they've got to go through all of these parts of the family to get back in, and they go across there at Jericho. I think it's interesting. So as we study this, you kind of begin to see pictures that come in to help you understand where nations are and why is there such a problem with the Ammonites and the Moabites, and why would they go against their family? Well, there's a jealousy factor, right? I mean, the Edomites, they had the birthright in their hand. He gave it up for a bowl of soup, red beans and rice, whatever, lentils. He gave it up, not knowing. I'm amazed as I go through the Word of God and see these wonderful truths. But it helps you to understand as we go through where these nations are and how they came to be. And why would they go so far against Israel? Why wouldn't they join Israel against their enemy? But they became enemies of Israel. Ezekiel said God's going to take care of Edom because they didn't go fight and help their brother Jacob. Father, thank you for the wonderful day, and I pray you'll bless this morning's service. God, I pray you'll empower our pastor, and I pray that you'll just use him to honor you. I pray that we have a wonderful time together, that the hearts of our people will be open to receive your word, and I pray that you'll save those that might be lost and encourage those that have been coming to join with us and become a part of our family. Thank you for all that you do for us, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.